guys, welcome to Southern Gal True Crime, where we cover missing persons, cold cases, solved cases, a few infamous cases, and more. And today, I wanted to share a story with you. It's a very heartbreaking story, a very horrific story. But I felt that it was important and it needed to be told. So the victim and the victim's family, her mother in particular, deserve to have their story told and to put out there, so they will not be forgotten. And this is a case from Alabama, and it was first referred to as the Opelika Baby Jane Doe case. In January of 2012, remains of a child were found. They determined that this child had died between 2010 and 2011. In 2022, through DNA genealogy, the parents of the child were identified. The father and the mother. And just some backstory, the child's remains were found buried in the backyard of a trailer park in Alabama, in Opelika, Alabama. And like I said, the remains were found. They determined approximate time of death, and she was ultimately identified as Amore Joveah Wiggins. And they found that out through identifying her father through DNA genealogy. Oh goodness, sorry, my background is freaking out. Okay. Now the father and stepmother have been charged. The father has been charged with felony murder, and the stepmother has been charged with failure to report a missing child. And I also have some information on the biological mother of baby Amore, and I will give you that information. I have an interview with her it's just heartbreaking to read. I'm just heartbroken for this woman and what happened to her child, basically through no fault of her own. So, and it was determined that baby Amore was about 5 years old when she passed away. So I'll be giving you that information today in the video. Like I said, very heartbreaking, disturbing case. So trigger warning, it does, as you've surmised, involve the harming of a child. So if you don't feel like you can watch this video, I completely understand. It was hard for me just to read through the articles and the information. So if you don't want to watch it, you can feel free to go check out any of my other videos in my playlist and watch one of those, or go watch puppy and kitty videos. You see behind me today, I've got my kitty cat tapestry to try to bring some positive, good vibes as we go through this story. So before we get to the story, just a little housekeeping. If you like what we do here at Southern Gal True Crime, please do please do subscribe. Hit the bell so you get notifications of when I upload new content. Like and share our videos. And most importantly, our missing person and unsolved case features, because that is the most important thing that I want to do here on the channel, is to get that information out to the public about the missing persons unsolved cases. That is the most important thing that I want to do. So if you want to hear this heartbreaking story, please stick around and I will bring it to you. Okay, guys, thanks for sticking with me. And like I said, I'm going to bring you the case of Baby Jane Doe from Opelika, Alabama. Once again, just a trigger warning. The story does include, unfortunately, the harming of a child. So if you feel like this is something you don't want to watch, I completely understand. But if you do want to hear the story, it's an important story that I feel needs to be told. We will get into it. And this first article I'm going to read to you comes from WPDE.com. And the headline, Police, Baby Jane Doe identified, father and stepmother are charged. And here is a picture of this beautiful, beautiful, precious child whose life was taken. Very brutally, very horrifically. That's why I feel it's important to tell her story and the story of her biological mother, who is also a victim in this case. Alright. Authorities in Alabama announced they identified the remains of a child known as Opelika Baby Jane Doe. The Opelika Police Department on Thursday, and this, hold on, this story is from, sorry, go back down, from January of this year, so it's a recent story. Alright, get back to where I was at. Oh my goodness. Authorities in Alabama announced they identified the remains of a child known as Opelika Baby Jane Doe. The Opelika Police Department on Thursday said the child is Amore Joveah Wiggins. Her skeletal remains were found on January 28, 2012 at a trailer park. Oh, get past all the ads. And there's another picture of the precious Amore Joveah Wiggins. Such a beautiful child. It was estimated Wiggins died between 2010 and 2011, with a focus on the summer or fall of 2011. Police said an autopsy was performed and notated fractures to the child's skull, arms, legs, shoulders, and ribs, totaling more than 15 individual fractures that were attributed to blunt force trauma. So like I said, this is a horrific story this child suffered, and it just breaks my heart. Police said the injuries all had evidence of healing and occurred sometime prior to her death. In addition, the medical examiner suggested that the child may have been malnourished and blind in her left eye due to a fracture in her eye socket. Police said Dr. Barbara Ray Vintner with Firebird Forensics Group used DNA and genealogy to identify Wiggins' biological parents in the fall of 2022. And we'll go back to that picture. Oh. Police said the investigation led to the arrest of Lamar Vickerstaff Jr., who is Wiggins' biological father, for felony murder, and Ruth Vickerstaff, who is Wiggins' stepmother, was arrested for failure to report a missing child. And now this is the picture of Lamar Vickerstaff, who is the biological father. And this is a picture of Ruth Vickerstaff, who is the stepmother, who was charged with failure to report a missing child. Alright. The two were arrested on Tuesday in Jacksonville, Florida. They are currently being held at the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office pending extradition to Lee County, Alabama. Police said detectives reached out to the school boards and pediatric clinics in several states where Lamar and Ruth Vickerstaff resided and determined that Wiggins was never enrolled in school and was never reported as a missing person. With this information, Opelika detectives met with the Lee County District Attorney's Office to determine charges related to the death of Amore. Experts were determined several possible matches for Wiggins' mother, and detectives narrowed the results down to a woman residing in Maryland. In December 2022, police said detectives met with a 37-year-old who confirmed she was the biological mother of Amore. The woman told authorities she gave birth to a baby girl named Amore Joveah Wiggins in January of 2006. The woman also provided documentation showing that Lamar and Ruth Vickerstaff obtained legal and physical custody of her daughter in 2009, at which time her visitation with Amore was suspended. The woman also provided documents indicating that she has continuously paid child support to Lamar Vickerstaff since 2009. So in other words, even after Amore's presumed passing, they were still collecting child support, which is just unfathomable to me, the gall of this, and this is my opinion. Alright, police said detectives still need the public's help in gathering additional details regarding Lamar and Ruth Vickerstaff's relationship with Wiggins and her time spent in Opelika. If you have any information, you're asked to contact the Opelika Police Department Detective Division at 334-705-5220. Alright, so that is, I'm going to go back to the picture of baby Amore. Yeah, I'll get there. There she is, this beautiful child. Very heartbreaking story. Don't even want to imagine what this child went through before she even passed, because of the fact they said that she had bruises or injuries that occurred way before the estimated time of her passing. So I'm assuming allegedly she suffers some abuse allegedly from her father and maybe her stepmother, but allegedly mainly from her father. Okay, so the next article I have is an interview with baby Amore's biological mother. And like I said, this is, when I read the article, it was just heartbreaking what this lady has been through. So I will find the article. And there it is right there. I have to refresh the page. Alright. Okay. And this comes from CBS42.com. Mother shares pain of learning her daughter is baby Jane Doe in East Alabama. Oh, I gotta wait for the ad. Okay. Alright, from Opelika, Alabama. The mother of Amore Wiggins speaks out for the first time since officers with the Opelika Police Department identified her daughter as baby Jane Doe, who went unidentified for years until last week. Sherry Wiggins was 20 when she gave birth to a baby girl in Virginia. She was a blessing. She was smart and she was special, and that's why I named her Amore, or Amora, which in Spanish means love, said Wiggins. That is beautiful. Wiggins met Amora's father, Lamar Vickerstaff, when she was 19. Lamar was 35 and in the Navy at the time. They lived in the same apartment complex, and later they moved in together after Sherry discovered that she was pregnant. However, Sherry says Vickerstaff's family was disappointed with him having a child out of wedlock, and the pair had no intention of getting married. He was upset and bothered, and when he started shoving me, it was then that I knew I needed to figure something out, said Sherry Wiggins. So apparently, allegedly, this man has had a history of violence towards women, or at least Sherry, allegedly. This is what she says, but in my opinion, I have no reason not to believe what she is saying. Wiggins moved out and says Vickerstaff was an absent father, so she went to court to try and get child support. Then Sherry admits to making mistakes. She was facing misdemeanor charges and felt Amora would be better off with Vickerstaff and his wife, Ruth. It did make sense for her to be somewhere more stable, Wiggins said. Wiggins was still visiting with her daughter until, she says, Lamar moved with the Navy to Hawaii. I reached out and he said, "Why the hell are you calling me on the phone? I'm not making no special arrangements for you to see your child." He said, "You don't care about her and she is okay here with us." And this is what Amora's mom said. So apparently he was not very nice when it came to this situation. Wiggins says she went to court several times trying to force Vickerstaff to resume visitations and regain custody of her daughter. But she said that by 2013, the court informed her her appeals were exhausted. She said the only thing she could do to connect with her daughter was continue paying the child support she had been responsible for since 2009. I felt like they made me feel so bad about myself. I kept trying and the doors kept being closed. I felt like the best I could do was live out my financial obligation, that which I never stopped. I felt like one day I could tell her I never gave up on you and all I could do was take care of you financially, and that is what I did. And that's all any mother can do, is do the best that they can do to take care of their child. If I couldn't do anything, I could take care of my daughter by supporting my child financially, she said. Wiggins says she never imagined her daughter was being harmed. She did feel Ruth and Lamar Vickerstaff had brainwashed Amora against her, but had hoped to reconnect with Amora when she turned 18. However, the dream of reconciliation was shattered in December when Opelika Police visited Wiggins in Maryland. DNA testing had indicated Vickerstaff was the father of a little girl Opelika Police called Baby Jane Doe, a child whose remains were located January 28, 2012, who investigators say had been killed and dumped behind a mobile home off of Hurst Street. When they showed me the clay pictures of her, I'm assuming that's like recreations they do from skeletal remains, I felt that in my soul. It was 7:36 in the morning, and the DNA test had come back. He called and said, "I don't want to tell you this on the phone, but it is her. It is Amora. I hate to tell you this way. It's been hard. It has been so hard. I think of all the times I tried to see her and get her, all the times I called. I was a phone call away. They could have just called me, she said. And I can understand that statement. If her father and stepmother, for one reason or another, didn't want to take care of her or deal with her anymore, all they had to do was call her mother and say, look, this is the situation. We're, more than willing to give you custody of her so you can take care of her. All it took was one phone call, and they couldn't even do that. Okay, I'll get off my soapbox. Recently, both Vickerstaff and his wife have been charged in the baby's death. Vickerstaff is charged with murder, while Ruth Vickerstaff is charged with failure to report a missing child. Wiggins said that while some in the community have been supportive of her, a lot of people have passed judgment without knowing the full story. She said it does hurt, but the only thing that matters now is getting justice for Amore. She said she's grateful to the Opelika Police Department for never giving up. And the statement that she made about it's wonderful that a lot of the community is supportive, but there are going to be people who will look at her situation without knowing the full story and pass judgment. So that's why we should never, when it comes to cases like this, unless we know the full story, and we may never know the full story because we don't know everything that the police and investigators know and the mother knows. So it is very important not to pass judgment just at the drop of a hat in cases like this. Alright, so I want to go back once again, and okay, and there's a picture of Miss Sherry there on the right, who is Amore's biological mother. Like I said, my heart just breaks for this lady. She did everything she could to get her daughter. When she was unable to get custody, she said, felt that she could at least support her financially in hopes of one day maybe trying to get her back. But unfortunately, that did not happen. Okay, so thank you. Like I said, I just felt like this story, as heartbreaking and as horrific as it is, deserved to be told and not to be forgotten, and just heartbreaking. I appreciate you watching and sticking with me. If you think this video was informative, please like and share it to help get baby Amore's story out there. If you like what we do here on the channel, subscribe, hit the bell to get notifications, like and share our videos. Most importantly, I always say our missing persons and unsolved case features, because those are the most important thing that I want to do here, is to get information out to the public about missing persons and unsolved cases, to try to do a little part in maybe generating some leads, tips, or just keeping it in the spotlight. So thanks for watching. Until next time, take care of yourselves, be safe, and I'll see you later.